acquired this car. It was built by St. Rowdy Production. 1UZ with one-off Toyota throttle bodies, OS88 sequential gearbox.
Sequential?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, all motor sequential. You know, 2 race packs, all for 300 horsepower. It's crazy. It's just like the ultimate NA experience, you know. Period correct NSXs. We like a lot of period correct stuff. You know, there's a lot of cars and a lot of cool parts nowadays, but there's a certain era that you can't reproduce anymore.
This car is perfection, bro.
Yeah, we like cars that look like we plucked them out of 2004 and, you know, give them some maintenance. And it's really hard to find the condition and the mods and all that stuff put together and tastefully done that are still in good condition. So yeah, this is all the right stuff.
All right, y'all do financing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, man.
We're gonna cut this one short because I'm gonna buy a car now.
Yeah, man. So Route K's is they won Le Mans with Keiichi Tsuchiya, and this is their Le Mans style kit that won Le Mans. So this is a super rare body kit. You'll never see this kit ever again in the United States. It was completely built by them. You know, suspension, brakes. It's not a crazy high horsepower build. It's just like a lightly tuned street car with a lot of tasteful mods. You know, there's a lot of NSXs nowadays, but I feel like, you know, this one stands out.
This thing is mint.
Thank you, man. Yeah,
I mean, how many miles does this thing have?
It's got 77,000 kilometers, like 40,000 miles.
Still smells new. Yeah, it's nice. Nice little matching red Sparco steering wheel.
That's a steering wheel they use in the JGTC cars. So it's a really fat suede wheel that you can't find out today. They don't reproduce things like that anymore, you know? Yeah, man, from spoon brakes on an NSX, which again, not something you see often, Group M intake, just the little tidbits that I find, you know, really interesting.
It's like the perfect period correct NSX.
Yeah, yeah, it's, that's what, at least I think so.
And the BBSs really set it off, man. Like, that set of wheels right there is like meant for this car.
Yeah, man, they look real fitting. Obviously, I like LMs. You know, there's LMs on this, LMs on that. There's LMs outside in the secret stash. You know, yeah, man. So, how to overbuild 300 horsepower? This is it. One-off throttle bodies. I don't think I've seen one with ITVs before. Yeah, there's been like, I've maybe seen like 5 to 10 of them online, and they're usually, it's really complicated to do them. The guy spent $180,000 building this car, believe it or not. Yeah. 180 Gs? 180 Gs, yes. It's crazy.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of attention to detail here.
Yeah.
And that sequential ain't cheap. I'll tell you. You said it was which one, the OS Guy kit? Or?
So it's an OS88 out of a BNR R32, and they cut the transfer case off, made a custom bell housing. They changed the final drive. It's got OS Geiken 2-way diff and Aragosta coilovers with hydraulic cups, crazy strobes, 2 race packs, you know, AC. It's like the perfect NA machine, man. I think it's an absolute machine.
Can we fire this thing up or what?
Let's do it, yeah.
I kind of want to hear those ITBs, man.
Yeah.
Dang, this thing sounds good. Bro, that sounds wild.
Sounds crazy.
It sounds wild, bro. Let's take a look here. Bro, my man.
I think it's definitely a different type of beast.
Oh wow, is that a Defi?
Yeah, so it's got an old
like
Defi
dash?
race pack. Yep. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen one of those.
A Link race pack too. You got to make sure you're monitoring all 300 horsepower, you know, at all times. Well, yeah,
dude, honestly, even though this thing doesn't make all the horsepower in the world, I don't know. I kind of want to take this thing for a ride.
We might have to, man.
Like just the sounds alone.
You might have to hear this thing.
It's about I think it's about the experience with this thing, right?
Yeah, this isn't. You're not gonna be the fastest guy in the world, but I think that this car gives like a certain visceral feeling of machine and man that is like it's. I've never had a car like this, you know. Especially on a chassis like this, nobody spends that type of money.
Exactly.
You know, so I think that it's a super unique build, obviously, but somebody spent a lot of time making sure that this car drives really nice at high speeds.
Approximately 10 hours later.
right, so here it is, man. This is the Time Attack FD, Speed Club Mars demo car. Yeah.
This thing looks wild.
Yeah, man, it's got a lot of rare parts. Again, another car and combination of parts you'll probably never see in the United States. From a HKS dogleg 6-speed Dogbox to side porter rotaries, which is not something that's done here. One-off TK Sports Widebody, and just a bunch of knickknacks that are just, again, period correct. Sounds annoying, but I really do think that this era, they spend so much money modifying these cars, and it's really hard to duplicate these things nowadays. There's better builds and people spend $150,000, but you know, this is a great base for somebody that wants something extremely unique and well built. So she's a little dirty still.
Looks aggressive.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a little dirty still, but we're getting there.
It's a good size turbo, man.
Yeah, T78 33D, which was actually freshly rebuilt before we brought it from Japan. Motor's side port RX8 seals. It was, I'd say it probably makes around 500, which honestly for grip racing it's too much.
13B making 500, and I know this thing's light. Man.
Yeah, it feels like a Banshee. Like
yeah.
If you've ever ridden a really fast Banshee.
Especially with that like dog box.
Oh, bro, the ratios are so close. The car doesn't feel like it comes off a boost, and you know, usually the gears are long with the 5-speed. This is like just attack, attack, attack. Each ratio. It sounds rowdy, looks rowdy.
This thing has to sound insane.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure.
Thing is wild, dude.
Yeah, bro. This thing's I sound like a broken record, but they're all machines to me, you know? Like, you can only imagine how they were all used, and like the owners and the type of person that owned it, you know, they're all so interesting, have so much character.
Look at that.
Again, the car's like, this is like totally unrestored. You know, this is how the car's been for the last 10 years. So, you know, the car was last driven, I think its last attack was in 2010 or 11. And then it was just street registered. The car was raised. It had like nice street tires on it. Had a silencer on the exhaust, and it looks like the car, you know, as they get older, they don't really want this anymore.
Sure.
Not that they don't want to attack. They don't want the craziness, you know.
Yeah.
You know, once they're 50, 60 years old, like it's hard to drive this car around.
Sure.
You know, it's hard to fit in it and drive it and all these things. But you know, a lot of cool shit like, you know, GTR spec CE28s that fit the wide body. You know, 18 by 10.5, extremely rare to find. You know, from the attack strobes, that's how you know. You know, nowadays they can only, you know, we have a 30-minute session to attack, but I'd say in Japan, some events do run that way here, like Grid Life and stuff, but most other events, you have a 30-minute session to turn the fastest lap. There, you only get 2 to 3 laps. You know, you get a warm-up, and then you're all out. So the cooling isn't always the craziest, you know, because it's not really needed after a lap. And that's why they use the strobe lights. That's how you know they're attacking. You know, that's how you know that that lap is the one that they're sending the shit on. Yeah, they're sending it, you know, and then it just looks crazy. So some people think it's ricey, but you know, there's purpose to everything that they do. You know, whether they think the cooling is too much or the gauges are over the top. But when these cars are at this level, you know, you really need to monitor all the things, you know, the correct way. Nowadays, you get a dash that tells you everything.
Sure.
But you know,
back then they didn't have that.
They didn't have that. But even then, you know, you can't. It's hard to really dial in each, you know, from EGT to AFR to air intake temp to oil pressure and oil temps, water temps. You know, you really got to keep an eye on everything. You know, and these gauges, you know, you can set a warning for any singular thing to go off. but you can still run it. You know, nowadays the computer will just cut timing or, you know, advanced whatever. You know, the car will go into limp mode. These cars were just, they were all out, but the motors weren't really all out. So just drive it all out, I guess.
Very mechanical.
Yes, this is the most mechanical.
Yeah.
This is to own this, like not anybody could get in this car. Like to get to this level, you had to be an experienced driver. Nowadays, somebody will buy this and they don't even know how to drive it right. You know, this car went through probably 20 iterations to get to like final boss RX7 in its time. Yeah. You know, and it wasn't just like some normal guy that could barely drive. You know, whoever had this car was a real, you know, attack driver. You know, and it's hard to just jump on a track and, you know, take a warm-up lap and then send it. You know, it's tricky. All these cars are tricky, you know, but irreplaceable stuff, man. Irreplaceable time, irreplaceable parts. You know, it's cool, man. It's cool to find this treasure hunting. You know,
absolutely.
It's different. Even the United States or Japan, it doesn't matter. You know, that's what I've always liked. Treasure hunting here, there, Europe, doesn't matter. It's always, we're just looking for that very unique build.
I've never been in an FD like this. Like a time attack style dog box.
Yeah.
Dude, any chance we can take this thing for a ride?
I think we could take it for a little scoot. Yeah.
Let's do it, brother.
You want to do it? Let's go, man. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're gonna take the FD for a ride. But I had to show this thing real quick. Bro, this thing is so cool.
Thank you, bro. That's the daily right there.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Nice, man. Looks like it came straight from Japan, like some Yakuza stuff.
I mean, it might have been a Yakuza members. It's got a couple of telltale signs. Came with
really?
Some Versace Medusa glasses and a couple of Yakuza symbols on the car.
This is a badass daily right here.
Yeah. Little carbon airbox. And not, you know, coilover conversion, just big brakes. Built motor.
You say built motor?
Yeah. It's got a 6-liter stroker in it. Comes
No
500.
way.
Yeah. This is built by Porsche. It's a 500.
Dude.
Came with some Yakuza fucking Versace Medusas.
Bro, stop.
I gotta fix them, you know, just like I gotta fix the car, but yeah, it sounds like it's a Mercedes. It's just a cruiser.
Oh, it's got a, you can see Porsche steering wheel. So this is built by Porsche?
Yeah, originally built by Porsche and then modified the Lorenz.
Oh man, it's sick. You got all the toys, brother. You got all the toys.
What are you gonna do, bro? You become immune to this shit, you know. I gotta have a cool daily. I don't know. Anybody can have some new shit, but this is, you know, you got to really maintenance headache, but it's worth it, bro. They're cool cars.
Unique, man. All right, man. I'm ready to go for some rips in this thing. The sound of that trans is magical.
I know, and it's butter too. I've had other dog boxes, but I guess for the FDs they're a lot smoother. It sounds crazy.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get used to, like, especially right-hand drive, like no clutch, just coming off throttle and pull. I mean, for you it must have been even a little weird transition at first. Like, you're like, do I do it? Like,
you definitely got to get your like muscle memory used to it, you know?
Like,
it's odd.
It's so weird to not put a clutch in.
So you went down for first.
Yeah. So literally the same pattern as that 935. It's first gear down, second gear up, third gear where 4 should be, and then 6 is like all the way up.
So you go. So to show people, you go 1, 2,
1, 2, 3. It won't go into gear because you got.
Wow.
You gotta like rev match it to get it in.
Sure.
run different tires, and you know, but it's only on a street tire. They don't run slicks at all.
Wow. So they really have to maximize
so
the setup, everything else around it.
That's what I like. That like what we were talking about with the drag racing, it's the same. Like people go there, you can be faster. But it's about like perfecting realistic tuning settings. You know.
I'll say you're not scared to beat this thing up.
I mean, bro, that's nothing for this car. You know.
I mean, I can tell it's well built. You know, it's not often you can just take an RX7 with a you know, take a rotary and just beat it up and down at this power level, and it has to skip the beat.
Street car, you know? And bro, this car was built 15 years ago, 20 years ago.
It's badass.
It's cool, bro. It's balanced. It's so well balanced.
Yeah.
It's not too much of anything, just enough. So yeah, man. So this is another era correct, in my opinion, of what an FC should look like for an attack car. You know, for a grip setup, R Magic wide body, all RE goodies, RE front bumper, 13B Roo, TO4E twin scroll. It's crazy to have an FC in this condition because most of these cars were just turned into drift missiles or just not well taken care of. So it's cool to find 20 years of race history on a car from day one to today. It ran at Okayama Circuit. It was by Bloom Racing Group. So the car's been well documented. And I guess, you know, I mean, you race a car for that long, I guess you just move on. And I was lucky enough to find it. Car got a good amount of maintenance, but it really didn't need much, man. The car is super dialed in. I mean, just from crazy stuff like wheel weights on the outside, you know, the clicks on the coilovers, how many to the left, to the right, depending on what setting and what track, all the cooling goodies, all the crazy gauges, you know.
I imagine this thing probably doesn't make all the horsepower in the world, but it's set up, you know, to run well.
Yeah, man. Rotaries, I mean, a rotary realistically, you know, on a track, you don't need more than 350, 400 horsepower. Right. Like, it's already faster than most 500 horsepower cars with that type of power level. This car is about 350 horsepower. Honestly, you don't need more than that. Like, the car's a handful already.
They're pretty light, too.
Oh, it's 50-50 weight distribution, and, you know, this is a very old school feeling car. So, you know, you do have to drive the car 120% if you're gonna, you know, if you plan on doing attack and things like that, you know, from swirl pot to the cage. And it's just very street friendly too, which is, they pay a lot of attention to, you know, when they street register the cars, that they're very drivable on the street and as well as on the track, obviously. But, you know, they don't overlook a lot of aspects, you know, so the cars are well balanced throughout.
Wow, the interior is actually very clean in this car. I mean, for it being like a time attack car style, you know, like
an attack car, and considering how long the car's been raced, you know, it really shows how they take care of their cars, you know, like they really do take pride in these cars, from the aero to the big oil cooler. It's got twin Citrab race oil coolers on it, you know, just the cleanliness. It's just really not something that you see often. Like clicks on the coilovers, they mark every single nut and bolt on the car to make sure that it doesn't move when they're racing it. You know, they go back and they re-nut and bolt the car, they recheck. This car has quite the history. Yeah, this car is cool, man.
You don't see a lot of well-built FCs out there, honestly.
No. And they're usually rusted out and stuff. You know, this car's been chassis, from the chassis up, is underneath it's even nicer than the car on top, you know, which is crazy, considering how much track time it's had. Here we have this is a street special Yotawe tuned 2.7.
I know the R32 well, man. You're speaking my language right now.
Yeah, man.
Oh, so this is a 2.7 liter?
This is a 2.7, you know, old school. You know, they build them for that, so they're low end torque, it doesn't bend rods. They don't use big turbos. They use drivability stuff. You know, your car's sick. This is just, you know, a period correct, very daily drivable, you know, 560 to all fours.
That's
honestly
perfect, though.
It's
for a street R32.
Yeah, man.
That 500 to 600 horsepower range is a blast.
It's a sweet spot on these cars, man. The motors are happy at that. You know, you could really, you know, use them as intended on the street. You know, you don't have to really be careful. They overbuild the cars there, obviously. You know. Yeah, I'm sure the motor can hold 700, but no need. You know, the car's already relatively fast. This is completely unrestored. I didn't paint the valve cover and make it look pretty. Like, this is just an original paint, low mileage. You know, super interesting car. It's got magnesium wheels on it. They're called Techno Magnesios. Yeah. So I think 1552 tried to make a copy of this later on. You know, all the N1 goodies, the correct confetti SRDs.
Yeah, this interior's pretty mint. Wow. Yeah. It's nice. Only a slight bubble. Most of these are like bubbling like crazy, and this is still a good one.
Yeah. I mean, even an original Nissan window in the front, like it's not, it wasn't a used and abused R32 like most of them are. Yeah, that's period correct, like to the maximum. Confetti's SR3s are, that's like the pinnacle of that era.
I'll trade you for some stock special edition, TRC edition Skyline R32 seats.
I might need a set, not for this one, but I might need a set for something else. Yeah, just all the N1 goodies, and considering the car's original paint, you know, it does have...
This car's original paint?
All original paint,
wow.
Which is insane.
That's not too common with the Skylines, honestly, coming out of Japan. A lot of them, you know, have rust on them. And
no, and they get pretty shitty paint jobs sometimes, you know, especially when they want them out of the, you know, out of the island. They do the export special repaints. You know, I've seen it, you know, and you got to learn your lesson, unfortunately, and you got to buy them sometimes to really understand, you know, what's good, what's not. From that, you know, to I bought this car privately.
Man, this R33 is nice. You know, I'm not a huge fan a lot of the times of like racing stripes and stuff, but it works on this one.
Yeah, so it's a Nismo style stripe. You know, this is a real GT500 wing off of the Daishan race car. So it even still has the old settings for wet, semi-wet, and dry, you know, according to grip settings and, you know, what track you're on. And considering all those things, all these cars still have AC and they literally drive like stock. This car also made 564. And is relatively a light tune. It's got drop-in 260 cams, metal head gasket, 2560s, pretty mild mods. Bro, it's a really nice street build, yeah. Two-piece rotor, stock brakes, you know, nice N1 suspension, Apexi N1s, and other than that, dude, it's like just a lot of cool aero and pieces that you don't find on cars nowadays, you know, from the Nismo front bumper, rear bumper.
This interior is mint. I'm seeing a trend here. All the cars you get are pretty mint.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying, dude. I really am trying to bring in the unique pieces, the cars that were actually cared for, so that people can understand the Japanese mentality of like really taking care of their cars, not just the commuter, you know, low budget, you know, sports cars. You know, these are cars that were owned pridefully for the 20 years. So, you know, from pictures of this car at Fuji, Suzuka, like, you know, to the guy like making drawings and die cast models of his car, you know, it really tells you that the guy, it wasn't just another R33. Like, this is a special 33 to somebody, you know, and I hope it finds another special home. You know, that's the point, to not sell it to some idiot, hopefully. You know, that's...
Man, and peeking back here, you guys really do have a little bit of everything, man. I mean, we got some muscle going on. We got a Datsun with, I think I see a big turbo 2J peeking up there. See if you can see that. I see a turbo there, and it's on that side, so I think that's a 2J, right?
Yeah, man, that's a little 2J with a clutchless T56, and it's got some goodies, you know, Rocket Bunny kit to fit the 335s.
You say a clutchless T56?
Yeah.
Dude, that's gangster.
Yeah, we sent it out to Liberty.
So that's real deal stuff.
Yeah, man.
It makes good power, or?
It made 1087, and it's hard to drive, to be honest. It's a show.
I mean, people know this chassis for being super light, so anything over 700 horsepower of those things, it probably just wants to
That car at 700 is fine. I mean, the car needs slicks, you know, I mean, it needs a real nice drag radial or a set of slicks to turn it up, because it's a handful to drive. Like, a car today with 1,000 horsepower is easy to drive, considering all things. Any R35 makes 1,000. Like, that car with 1,000 is,
the handful. You
got to be a driver.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. From that's a GM. That car was built at GM. It's got a dry sump LS7. You know, 6 pistons front to back. It was the original Pro Touring Camaro X. So that was like the first official Pro Touring car. Wow. It had a C6 LS7 before they even came out in the C6. So it had a prototype C6 LS7 dry sump in it, and they built it for the Nürburgring. Surprisingly, it used to be white, and then the new owner ordered it to be dust blue after it was built by GM. So that's a whole GM heritage build, which is, you'll never see that again. You know, AC. You know, we drive it to Daytona for Turkey Rod Run at 150 miles an hour with AC on, and then from an M5, Aristo, Soarer, JZX, you know, just whatever. We just buy shit that's cool. You know, we're not really pressed on being a certain genre or style. It could be drag racing, grip, drift, doesn't really matter.
Peek down here, we see a Miata.
Yeah.
That Miata caught my eye, you know?
I mean, the 9,000 RPM, ITVs, 288 cams, high compression. It's like a 1 of 5 aero wide bodies, extremely clean. It's crazy how they make this car so drivable. Like, you could drive an ITB car in the rain, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, honestly, this car around a track is probably an absolute beast.
An absolute go-kart. I mean, the Mori factory gauges with a 9,000 RPM red line, you know, just... This car's worth more money in parts, unfortunately, you know? It's just a shame to part this shit out, you know? And that's what a lot of people were doing. They were getting these really well-built cars, and nobody was really appreciating you know, people appreciate the parts, but also the balance of the car put together. Like nobody appreciated all of that, and you know, that's why there's very few and far in between cars that you still find put together, untouched. So I think it's cool to find shit like this. You know, you don't really, it doesn't really exist anymore. You know, Aero went out of business in 2008. I bought it from HKS, like HKS itself in Japan. They were friends with Aero, and the car had sat for, you know, 10 years. So all the stuff that I'm finding, they're still really good condition. It's just that whole era of racing kind of died off. You know, why I can't find it a good home, maintain the car, and really, you know, give the love, you know, show the car the love and appreciation it deserves.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely, man.